Chapter 17 addresses financial statement analysis. Now that we have a comprehensive understanding of our financial accounting concepts and managerial accounting concepts, I'd like for us to go back and take a look at the big picture. Where do all these numbers about our efficiency, our progress, our profitability end up, and how do we analyze the numbers on those financial statements? So Chapter 17 walks us through how we can actually use the financial statement to analyze a business, and we will do that using a horizontal analysis of the financial statements, a vertical analysis of your financial statement, and some ratios. All right, there's some additional information in this chapter that deals with earnings per share in detail, but we will only look at the earnings per share ratio, not the appendix, as far as coverage for this class goes. All right, let's begin with learning objective 1 and how we actually use financial statements to analyze a business. There are a couple of different things that we can do, and even if you're not an accountant, you may never prepare a financial statement, but you certainly need to know how to read and analyze a company's financial statements. So we will do comparison of financial statements from year to year. How has our company improved over the past 2 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years? We may want to compare our financial statements with our primary competitors, or there are industry norms that are published by Dun & Bradstreet and others that we can utilize. And so these are all ways that we can see how well we are performing compared to others, or simply over time. So the tools that we will use to do this, once again, are going to include a horizontal analysis, which is simply a comparison of year to year. How much did our sales increase from 2012 to 13 to 14? We may look at how much cash increased from 13 to 14 to 15, or how much liabilities decreased. So it's simply a trend over time in our performance. The vertical analysis, on the other hand, your slide says it's comparing different companies. It is a good way that we can do that. We'll compare everything on the income statement as a percentage of sales, everything on the balance sheet as a percentage of assets, to get a better understanding of all of the information that is flowing through the income statement, the balance sheet, and the statement of cash flows. We'll also look at some ratios that provide information about our company's performance, and once again, we'll compare these ratios calculations from year to year to year. Are they increasing, decreasing? How do they compare with our competitors? How do they compare with industry norms? How do they compare with our budget? So now we have all of this financial understanding and managerial understanding under our belt. We need to pull it together into a comprehensive analysis, and that's what we will do with these tools. So we can analyze financial reports. Any company that is publicly traded has a financial statement that is available to you at edgar.gov. Okay, so the SEC provides this database. All of these companies are providing their financial statements to the Securities and Exchange Commission, and they are managing them in an Edgar database, and you have access to all of those reports. So I just want you to be aware that you can get your hands on reports to analyze, and you can also get your hands on not-for-profit or governmental reports for analysis. And I'm going to show you the layout of a corporate financial report and how to access those if they are available publicly. So we do have an annual report that has everything that is required. The annual report has information from companies' management about their organization. There is some management discussion and analysis that management provides about their company. Independent auditors provide a report telling you whether the company's financial statements have followed generally accepted accounting principles. You will see their actual financial statements and the notes to their financial statements. So if all of this works, bear with me. I'd like to take you to a link that I have here for Monsanto's annual report. There are a couple of ways you can get to a company's annual report and financial statements, and one is by simply going to the company's website. So my graduate courses analyze financial statements prepared by Monsanto, so I thought I would simply take you here. If we go to their website, we can find their investors page, which is where I am now. You can see I'm on that link. So you simply go to the investors page, and it will provide for you the information: corporate profile, stock performance, annual report. This is the company's financial financial statements. So this is their most recent financial statement for 2015. Archived financial statements will include those as far back as they do have available for you. And so there's other information here about their financial information, stuff that analysts could use, other investor links. But what I want you to see here is that they do have a full financial statement in a PDF file. They have a proxy statement, which is information about their stock, information about their strategic objectives. You will find the salaries of all of their executives here. So there's lots of information in the proxy statements. And then we see that they have archived reports all the way from 2014 back to 2005. But if we were to download their most recent PDF, I'd like for you just to see an example of a company's annual report. Let's pull it down here and expand. So what we see is this glossy, nice picture of Monsanto. Monsanto produces grains. Their probably most well-known product in the world is Roundup. So they have genetically modified seed. They have chemicals. So they're in the grain industry primarily. And so what they're showing you here from management is, how do we serve these, people, looking at the worlds of opportunity, right? So we're trying to sell you on our company and our annual report. So I want you to see this information. They are providing for you financial highlights. Now these should have come from audited financial statements, but this within itself is not necessarily audited. Management is pulling the numbers that they would like for you to see. What do they want you to do after reading their annual report? Invest in their stock. Okay, so keep this in mind. But there's a lot of information here. If you are in management and you're trying to understand your competitors, how they work, what their trends are, then there's a wealth of information for you here, not only as an accountant, but also as a manager of an organization. So we see some financial highlights. We see a letter to the shareholders of the organization, a list of their board of directors, and all of their backgrounds. We can skim on down. We see notes to the financial highlights and charts. Once again, this is management information that they're providing for you, things that they want you to see to basically sell their company. And then we get to the 10K. This is the annual report that is filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission each year. And so this 10K, the less glossy, just black and white version of this is our financial data, is provided for us here. And let's skim down to the table of contents so that you can see the 10K provides information about their business, that they're in the seed and genomics division, agricultural productivity, their research and development. It tells you about their risk factors, if they have any unresolved staff comments. So this is basic. This is all information that is required by the SEC. We also have some selected financial data, management discussion and analysis. This is the MD&A that was mentioned above. So information that management is required to provide to the SEC about their company. And then you're going to see financial statement and supplementary data. So here are our financial statements. Management will provide a report that they do have internal controls and that they are abiding by them, and that they are in operations. The independent auditor is going to tell you that we have audited these financial statements and that they are following GAAP without any material misstatements. And then we'll see their financial statements. The statement of operations is income. So these two statements of operations and comprehensive income are your income statement. We've got financial position, which is your balance sheet, the statement of cash flows, and the statement of stockholders' equity. And then always the notes to the financial statements are always a required part of the financial statements. So lots of information in this annual report. I just like for you to understand what is what as we're skimming through it. So we'll just slide down a little bit. This is everything that the company's providing information to the SEC about their organization. Okay, and we'll finally get down to, and once again, this is all management discussion and analysis. Beware, okay, that when we stop here, once again, these are just some highlights that the organization is providing for you about their organization. Changes. You can see some of the horizontal analysis in this financial statement, the change from 13 to 14, 7% increase in sales from 13 to 14, a 5% decrease in sales from 14 to 15. So the horizontal analysis that we just discussed, you can kind of see an example of that here. But once again, these are just highlights. So we're not actually looking at the company's financial statements yet. All right, this is information they just want you to see. The SEC requires lots of detailed information about their organization. And finally, we should come down to management's report. Management, after the implementation of Sarbanes-Oxley, is required to provide a report saying that, hey, we recognize that as management, we're responsible for establishing and maintaining internal controls over financial reporting. Okay, they can't just turn that over to their auditors. Management is responsible for maintaining internal controls in an organization. So they're telling us that here our auditors have looked at these standards, and they have included their opinion of our internal controls as well. They're telling you that they have an audit and finance committee who is reviewing this work with their auditors. Okay, so there is management's report signed by the Chief Executive Officer, and then also by the CFO, so the CEO and the CFO both taking responsibility here. And then we have the report of the accounting firm, and this report is simply telling us that they have audited their financial statements, and that these financial statements, as best as they can tell, all right, are in accordance with they're telling you that they have followed the PCAOB's auditing standards in this financial statement audit, but what they're telling you is that these financial statements are in conformity with GAAP, U.S. GAAP, and so that there aren't any material departures from GAAP. We'll see that here. Not that these financial statements are perfect, but there is no material departure from GAAP. And then we will see the beginning of your financial statements. Right, so there will always be 3 years of income statement information, so we can see sales, cost of goods sold, gross profit, all the way down to net income. We can next, what they have is their statement of consolidated comprehensive income, all of the things that could impact our income statement but really haven't yet: foreign currency translations, the change in our retirement benefits, unrealized gains on our investments. So these are things that if they were to take place or convert today, that this would be the impact on our income. And then we have our balance sheet or statement of financial position, assets, liabilities, owner's equity, and then finally we'll have our statement of cash flows showing cash from operating activities, investing activities, and financing activities, and then our statement of shareholders' equity. Okay, so I just want you to see where these financial statements are located, see what's included in a company's annual report. And note that these notes that follow the financial statements are a required part of the financial statements. Okay, so just want you to see what is involved in a company's annual report. Monsanto, I thought, would be a very good example for you to see here. So let's go back to our PowerPoint. All right, so the annual report includes everything, including our 10K that is required for the SEC to be reported to the SEC, and this information is available for any company that is publicly traded. Right, so if you want information for companies that are not publicly traded, then management has to agree to give you that information. But there's lots of information to find out how people are performing in your particular industry that's available publicly. So go back and review those notes, come back, and we're going to begin looking at the tools, horizontal, vertical analysis, and ratio calculations.